Welcome back to another video. My name is David Siddons. I'm president of the David Siddons Group, and I'm here with my friend Milty, and we are going to talk about Five Park in South Beach. So jumping straight into this, thank you Milty for doing this video. Milty is an expert in the market. He's been selling real estate for a very long time. This is not our normal video. We're not going to just talk about the building. We're going to give you slightly better peripherals, or much better peripherals than what you'll normally get. So we're going to jump into this right now. Behind me, we have the map of Miami, or what we will call South Beach, south of 5th, and obviously Brickell and around. Why? We just want to show where we are in respect to everything else. So Milty, thank you for doing this. Glad you got the fashion memo. Getting into this project right now, let's talk us through exactly where we are in Miami.
Sure. So Five Park Miami Beach is located right here at the gateway to Miami Beach. What that means is it's located right on 5th Street, which is the dividing street between the south of 5th neighborhood and the north of 5th neighborhood up towards West Avenue to Sunset Harbor. The location also allows the access to Miami proper, which now more than ever, Miami proper is such an important piece of the lifestyle, even as a Miami Beach resident, because you have downtown, Brickell, Edgewater, Design District, Wynwood, a lot of great amenities on that side as well. So the location really is one of the most important features of this property.
Miami is pretty compact, and if you're familiar with other big cities, you'll know they're more spread out. To get from South Beach to Brickell is a quick run. We don't have crazy traffic. Typically, you can go probably from here into Brickell in 15 minutes or less. It depends on the time of day. But what we want you to understand is the lifestyle that you have around here, because it's important that not all neighborhoods are the same. We talked earlier on about some neighborhoods, which we'll get into, where you can feel a little bit isolated. You don't have enough shops, enough restaurants, enough life. And if you're coming for more than a couple of weeks, you need to keep yourself engaged. So 15 minutes to Brickell and downtown, Wynwood, as you say, Design District. This whole beach area is obviously very important to discuss because South of 5th has usually been front and center in conversation. Why is that? Why has South of 5th been such an important corner of South Beach?
I agree, it's one of the most important. I find that the South of 5th neighborhood is a confined ecosystem of walkability to restaurants, shops, dining, wellness, and fitness has become such an important piece of the day-to-day lifestyle. There's more gyms in this one location than anywhere else up and down this beach here. Also location to the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. We have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and I find that this area here is where the residents of the South of 5th neighborhood love to experience the ocean, and really it comes down to food and beverage. I think South of 5th has some of the most fantastic food and beverage
most famous
outlets.
For sure. What I've noticed is this. It's South of 5th adjacent, yes, you've got access to all of this, and obviously there's going to be a bridge crossing over. But one thing that I've noticed is that this area up here has really developed a lot. And this West Avenue run, it's not actually that far, it takes you probably like 5 minutes to drive from here to here. This West Avenue run, there's a lot more cafes, there's a lot more going on, and there's a lot of primary living that goes on here. And once you get up here into that sunset area, you've got, again, Icebox and Anatomy Gym, which is virtually the best gym in Miami, and then all these other places you can go to. There's a lot going on. I know South Beach tends to be more touristy, but on the backside, a little less so. And so it's actually got access to a lot more than you might think. And this neighborhood here is really been developing fast. This West Avenue neighborhood is being developed very quickly. But if you want luxury condos on the beach, and again, this is what we're coming back into, when you're buying, you're probably looking at this, and you might discuss other buildings as well, and I can talk about those. You've got to think about what your life is like around the building, not just in the building. Now, I know, people say, I want to be on the sand. Proximity here is very, very close and quick and easy. So for those who say, beach life, what are we saying to those clients? Because I know a few have come in and said, well, I want to be here. But that comes at a pretty hefty premium, a different price point.
Yeah, and it's not as new of a building, but I think the best answer there is our homeowners at 5 Park Miami Beach are getting a membership to a mini private beach club just here on the sand.
Okay.
And more so than just having chairs and towels and umbrellas, you're actually being picked up at your doorsteps by your beach butler and dropped off on the sand. So that is just a direct connectivity to the ocean. So for the buyer that's really earning for that ocean lifestyle, they're getting it because of that. But then you're also getting the urbanness of this city, which is beautiful, the downtown skyline. So the location and the views really speak to a lot of different buyers. But if you're an ocean buyer, you're getting it by that connectivity through the beach service.
When we look at this project, and again, there's a park to the right of you here, to the north of you. And then obviously you've got a building, this is the Bentley building. And then you've obviously got, I think that's the Floridian, is it? Next door. And what you've got to know is that once you get over to this area here into Brickell, downtown Edgewater, or if you go up into Sunny Isles, or if even you go up further up the beach, buildings are slap bang next to each other. It's really, they're very, very close. The buildings that have done the best have had some, what I call some breathing room. We talked about this, breathing space, if you will, between you and another building. And there's a good amount of breathing space. When we go to the actual model, we can get into that in more detail. So the views here, obviously, this is Star Island, palm and hibiscus. These are the views that you're kind of looking out. On the other side, you've also got the ocean views. So you see both, which is pretty spectacular, because the elevation of this in front of you, how high is it in front?
Most of this is capped at 6 stories. This is the Art Deco district here, so you have pretty low density. So your views are really reserved to the east over the ocean. And this actually adds to that ocean view because you get this little bit of the twinkle.
I've noticed this. If you ever go in and you look in buildings along here and you look at the west facing views, and whether you're in Continuum or even if you're in Murano or Icon, when you're really elevated, the views are beautiful, because at night, if you're right on the ocean, it's just black. But if you've got city around you, you get both. Now, elevation wise, the units we're talking are really starting halfway up the building. What's the elevation? Do you know how high that will be?
So our story height is 10 feet. So you're probably about 270 feet starting views for the residences.
Which is miles above everything around in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. Even the opposing buildings, I have to point out. So the opposing buildings, like the 2 towers of the Bentley Bay, which the second one is hidden back there, and the Icon, the opposing buildings, you're really breaking the viewpoints because the residences start on the 27th floor and above, and also the building is shifted on its axis, which really shifts it so that you're between the pier point of these views here, so you're getting all of that downtown skyline. And the way it shifts here, the south view is just staring directly at that South Point Park skyline, which is absolutely beautiful. So although there's opposing buildings, they don't really pose a threat in the view, which is really important for you to know.
They're much higher than they are.
And it's actually by strategy and inception that they've shifted the building in that way to really maximize the viewpoints of these homes.
Right now, I want to get into the floor plans. And then the reason you're watching this is you're thinking to yourself, okay, I've clearly heard about this building. I want to know a little bit more. I'm trying to understand how it all stacks up and what do I go for? So let's bring up the floor plans.
Sure, let's dive into it.
Okay, so we're not going to go into every single floor plan. What we're going to discuss is probably what we consider probably the 2 most interesting floor plans that we have right now within the building. And we were just talking a second ago before we started rolling back into camera. The project's actually being developed by Terra Group. Terra Group is one of the co-developers within this project. And they have a history of building very successful buildings, which somewhat familiar to what we're dealing with here. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to give 2 examples, Park Grove and 87 Park. Okay, if you flash up on the screen and you see the performance of Park Grove and 87 Park, and both of them are very close to my heart, and sold many, many units. In fact, we both sold units in 87 Park and Park Grove. These buildings have several similarities. Apart from the physicality, the look and the architecture of the building, that kind of oval shape. But both of those buildings sit with parks around them. You know, Park Grove, that's why it's called Park Grove, because there's a park right in front of you. And 87 Park, it's called 87 Park because there's a park right in front of you. It's actually to the side. But that breathing space, that openness is very attractive to primary residents because they want that view. When you've got a big terrace and you've got, you know, high glass, all glass windows, your eye will naturally travel as far as it can. And if a building's right up next to you, no matter how big your unit is, it starts to feel a little bit claustrophobic. So the openness of this is in part because you've got a park and you're elevated above other buildings. But the floor plan, and you were just saying, this floor plan, the 01, and there's two, the 01 and the 03. So the 01 is the biggest of the floor plans.
It is.
Correct. And you drew an analogy to another line that did really well in 87 Park.
Yes, so I think from experience, when these developers did 87 Park, that curvular floor plan on the back, the 05 line, where it was a curved floor plan with a kitchen somewhere in the center facing the best view with a kind of double living dining space, performed really well. And also just the creation of the outdoor curvular space, which creates really a dynamic view. Basically, the curvular floor plan allows for really functional outdoor space. So you can find a space outside, say this side has a lot of sun today or right now, but this side doesn't. You can really find your space. You can run from the wind and run from the sun, which is really nice about these plans. So this really mimics or is kind of a creation from the success of that 05 plan at 87.
It's interesting because one of the things that like Park Grove sometimes people notice is that it's a curved building. And the walls around it are obviously all curved. What they've done here is they've retained the curvature of it, but you've got more square angles, which is actually easier to work with when you get to put in furniture. And I think that has to do with the way they put the building together and the way they put the living space together, that you walk in and you get this great living room, that great engaging view with very nice sized terraces. That these are how deep? Those are
about 9 feet 6 inches.
Okay.
Also the column placement here, you're gonna notice that the full use of your square footage is livable because the columns are really tucked away in non-discrete areas, right? So you really have full use of the space and you don't have the view obstruction. A lot of these buildings I find, particularly in the south of Fifth neighborhood, have very big columns because it's a sign of the time they were created. In a modern all glass building with the highest standard in architecture and design, we're able to conceal the view obstructions of a column in these very nondescript areas, which really create even more dynamic of a view. You're not obstructed. The view is really the full span of the home, no matter where you're standing.
And that's an engineering feat. Like with every technology that you get, whether it's a condo or a house, you know, a car, all these things over time, engineering improves. And the efficiencies of engineering and materials that they use allow for shrinking down the size of the columns, keeping the core strength of the building working as it should, but allowing you to work with the space much better.
Yeah, absolutely. So the plan also does something special. So rather than have the interior curve along with the shape of the terrace, the interiors protrude to the outside, creating this jigsaw effect, which creates little semi-private vignettes of outdoor space outside of each room, but larger vignettes, say a lounge and an outdoor dining room as you get towards the front of it, and then a really big outdoor space, which is an extension of your living room. So because it's a new building, more glass, the glass opens wider. So this opens 10 feet, creating a true indoor-outdoor living experience here. So truly functional indoor and outdoor space. And also how the bedrooms are dispersed. So the primary suite is set this way, and your guest suites are set beyond. So it's really a nice single-family home style floor plan.
One of the things that always kills a sale for me on a newer building when someone's looking to make it primary is master closet. Every time when you get a small master closet, they're like, it's fine for a week, but I can't live here. This, to get a sense, again, the size of this closet and what we're looking at here, these closets, as you look around the other bedrooms, you've got fair closets in all the rooms and you've got the space that you need, and then additionally, the laundry. Now, does it matter what elevation we're at? I mean, is there a critical clearance point for flooring?
So this is where it's interesting. What you're bringing and offering here is a little more in depth. It's not so flat like you're looking on a computer, because now we could really talk about things that matter. And one thing is important to know is, because our residences start on the 27th floor, you really have fantastic views all the way up and down the line. However, in the line of the O1, there is a view break, and that view break has to do with the icon, which is over here. Okay. So it's really diminishing returns as you go higher until you break the icon, because that opens up a new viewpoint beyond it.
Okay, and what are we talking about price-wise here?
So in this line in particular, Residence 01, the current lowest floor available, I believe, is 35, and it's offered at 7.7 million. It does go up from there because, of course, there's a floor premium. As you go higher, the price does go up. But say starting at about 7.7 is the entry to the 01 line right now today.
At 7.7, and then obviously it'll go up from there.
It goes up. But the entry to this line is 7.7 million today.
Right, okay, perfect. Let's move on to, and again, we'll just discuss one more. If you want the other lines, by the way, and you want those, the smaller 2 bedrooms or the other ones, we can get into that, but you just give me a call and we'll discuss it. But let's go into the back view, which is the 03 line.
Right, and what's interesting about our back view is if you look at the map, it's actually facing the Edgewater and downtown
And you
skylines.
liked this more, didn't you? You came to me and you said, I kind of like this line more, I guess because of the views.
Well, I think it depends on what you're looking for. An end user that needs the square footage, the 01 line is the answer. It has the space, it feels like a single family home in the sky, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a secondary home and you just need the bedroom count, this is a little bit less square footage at 2615 square feet. It has the same feature of that curvular home with the curved terrace, and it has equally as fantastic views. The catch here is, and this is what you can find out today versus looking on the computer, is this area here is considered a den. So this is a 3-bedroom plus this den. However, it has this hidden feature of a full bathroom. Yeah. So if you wanted to turn this into a 4th bedroom, you can do that.
And you could do, I mean, you don't have to do a hard wall. You can do a sliding wall.
Right,
you can do barn doors. The point is, I know a lot of people who come in, they have guests who come in. Now, they're not trying to organize their life around their guests, quite the opposite. But there is a good amount of flexibility here that you can have it as a den, have it as an office, have it as a room when you need it as a room. But it just gives you that optionality to create a 4th bedroom.
Right, and what's great about this line and its viewpoints is because the building is shifted just this way facing the skyline, you have amazing sunset views on that side there, but then as you find your view on this side, you're looking at the ocean and you're looking at the coastline to the north. So the views are spectacular. And in terms of the floor plan, it's, imagine it as a little more petite version of the plan we just saw. So it's a little bit more of a manageable size, perfect for someone that needs the 3rd bedroom, but doesn't need all that square footage. It's a great secondary home. Has all the same great features as the other residences with the private elevators, the 10-foot ceilings, the beautifully finished kitchens and baths, and all the glass opening doors, the double living space here.
Very likely, a lot of people will turn one of the bedrooms into an office. But within the building as well, you've also got some workspace, and you've also got these units, these I guess they're kind of rentable units that you can have extra guests in. You can buy those too.
Right, you can buy one of the 9 luxury suites. You can hold it as an asset for yourself that you can rent out and use it for your guests as they come in. If you don't want them in your main space here, there are 9 luxury suites available for sale. Similar to the concept, I think, at the Continuum.
These are 2 very good options. And again, flashing up on the screen, the size and the square footage of this, what else this compares to in the market, so you can understand. And price points of this line right now as of March are, where are they, Milty?
So this one, I believe, currently available on the 36th floor is 6.8 million.
Okay, 6.8, and that obviously it's going to go from 6.8.
It goes up from there.
Okay, perfect. So, Milty, talk us through. Obviously, start with the bridge, then move to the park, and then we can discuss some of the underground elements that make this, subject to conversation.
Sure. So here you can see the building is rising out of this parkscape. So what's really unique about 5 Park Miami Beach is its location on a 3-acre public park. This 3-acre public park is more than just a greenscape. It's extremely well thought out and curated to have different features that are extremely helpful for the community. And I think it's important to know there's very limited public parking in this area. So it really becomes the neighborhood park. In fact, I like to call it the neighborhood park. This park has this botanical grove here, which is a shaded area, a bunch of really great native landscape. We have the Monstrum Playground, designed by some of the best playground designers in the world. In fact, it's considered an art sculpture more than a playground. There's an outdoor gym because more and more fitness is such a piece of the day-to-day life as a Miami Beach local. This is a really nice detail because our Floridians and Miami people love their pets. This is a fenced-in dog park and dog run. And then the very important open area, open air event lawn, which gives a lot of sun, opportunity to host events in the park. And then where we're standing today, which is currently our sales center, is this building here. This will become a 2-story retail pavilion with some really great kind of food and beverage, shop, dining component right outside the doorsteps of 5 Park Miami Beach. So this whole park, everything you see above the surface is, typical of a really great thought out park. However, there's a really wonderful resilience detail here called the Bioswall Dry River. It's an underground water treatment system which is meant to collect the excess rainwater, hold it underneath, and pump it out into the bay once it's safe. So that's a very big resilient detail that's going to help with the potential flooding of the West Avenue corridor. More and more buyers are asking about global warming and flooding, especially in South Florida. That's our developers' forward thinking and give back to the community, which is really nice. The building is rising out of the park, and beyond the building here is the pool deck and amenity deck, which is also lushly landscaped and meant to be an extension of this greenscape here. And then one of my favorite details is here, the canopy bridge. Danielle Buren, the French conceptual artist, has created this cylinder bridge that'll in theory walk you from 5 Park Miami Beach's site right to the south of 5th Marina. This is the missing link to the 2 neighborhoods here that merge them as one.
So as you move up West Avenue, there is cafes and restaurants. They're growing all the time. Accessibility into the Sunset area, which is buzzing. Access into south of 5th neighborhood over this, very beautifully crafted, legitimate bridge that will take you through. And then obviously around you, so you just don't feel like you're just in an isolated location. And again, very, very quickly, the 01 and the 03 line, and again, the reason I see that you like the 03 line so much is once you've got separation, breathing space between you and other buildings around you, bay is literally where you're standing, so you look over downtown, which is probably one of the most impressive skylines of any city on the planet today. And then at the same time, where I'm standing is where you're heading out towards the beach, and now you can see the beach in front of you, you can see the ocean, and you've got the best of both worlds. So this, thank you, this is great. And I love that you commented on the underground water pumping system, because it is a reality. And we do have to face the facts that there are conversations that we have to have about sea level rises and flooding and things like that. So again, making sure that this area long-term, not short-term, but long-term, is sustainably livable and beautiful and functioning. And again, getting you in and out. As you come out of here, it's good to know. Sometimes you get into buildings and it gets very congested. I won't name names, but you get into Brickell and downtown, and once that bridge goes up, if you're around that area, it's gridlock. Here, once you come out of the building, the causeway is right here, and then you've got access into South of 5th easily, access either up West Avenue, or you can go up Alton into where Lincoln Road is and beyond. So it's not isolated by any means. There's still a lot of abilities to get in and out easily. So we're standing here mostly with a full scale of the building, and there's a few things that are springing into my mind right now that I want to talk about. And again, coming back to this being a Terra project, 87 Park Grove, and again, this is all about comparisons, other buildings around. You have similarities, like for example, you have this deck here, which is very similar to the Turnberry Ocean, which is a building up in Sunny Isles. Again, totally different geographical neighborhood. Lovely product, but neighborhood is very, very different. Not good or bad, just very different. The thing that I've noticed with this project against, say, Park Grove or 87 Park is one big thing. It's obviously a higher density project. And this canopy level is the division between the canopy residents and the residents below. But fundamentally, the total number of units that you have is 200.
It's about 250.
250, okay. Now, typically when people associate high density residence, they think, okay, there's a lack of privacy, there's a lack of exclusivity, but they've really created a division between the building. But it does provide you with one benefit that's important for you to understand. As you go into buying a building, you need to understand the fundamentals behind it, okay? Who's running it? How's it being run? How expensive is it to run? And when you have a project which has a high level of density, the HOAs are going to start in this building at, you said about $1.
About $1.85 per square foot of interior space.
Okay, so put that into perspective, there are other buildings which ramp up to $3 a square foot because they are providing a high level of amenities, but very, very low density. So it's extremely exclusive, but that comes at a cost. And that's not for everyone because it means that your carry on this is exponentially going to be high over time. Now, if you're using this as a primary residence, maybe you're okay with that. Maybe if you're not, as a second home, you're going to become a little bit more sensitive. But this will dilute the costs by having these units below. Keep the exclusivity because you've got this private canopy deck. But there is a very large scale amount of a very high level of common area.
So one amenity we kind of forget to talk about is parking. This is one of the few buildings that every single line, regardless of the size of the home, comes with 2 parking spaces. You have the choice to self-park or valet. So every single home in the canopy residences comes with 2 parking spaces. The standard for South of 5th over the years has been 1 parking space per home. Sometimes it's 1 plus a valet. Here's 2 parking spaces per home, self-park or valet. Other amenities, the obvious is this really large, lushly landscaped pool deck. What the pool deck is really an extension of the park, so you can see the density in the landscape on the pool deck and really creates a very serene setting for the lap pool. It's about 75 feet long, saltwater mix with the stairs on the long edge so that the short edges make the perfect turnaround radius. Family-friendly pool, so that's a family amenity. It keeps the children further away from the relaxation areas here. You have the jacuzzi tub here, an indoor-outdoor cafe serving salads, sandwiches, snacks, fresh pressed juices at the pool. And then as you walk through here, the trellis area, you have an outdoor observation cocktail and dining deck with a glass feature here that really lets you see the beautiful skyline on that side there. Speaking of amenities, I think this is one of the most highly amenitized buildings in Miami Beach because this 26th floor gives you a private homeowners club, which the entire south tip is dedicated to wellness and fitness with a gym and a spa, while the entire north tip is dedicated to food and beverage with an indoor-outdoor restaurant, a private dining room, a library, a working area, a bar, a lounge, and a billiards room. So that's a really wonderful 12,000 square foot amenity dedicated to the homeowners of the Canopy Club. And here, right above the lobby, you have an amazing modern amenity of a co-working space. This is a shared co-working studio, similar to a WeWork, but in a private setting just for the homeowners here, as well as a children's play area and teen club, 2 great amenities. Here you have the 9 luxury hotel room suites available for purchase, which I like to call
Which is the better thing.
suites.
It's taken a little bit of everything. I mean, I'm thinking about the buildings in Miami, like up to this point, Continuum was always the one that everyone was drawn to because it was so highly amenitized. It had so much in terms of the pool service and the gym and the restaurant and they have tennis and all these other things that people want. And it created a community. It created a real sense of community. And I guess the buildings that succeed, the bottom line of it is like, what are the patterns that we recognize when we look at successful buildings in Miami? The buildings that succeeded are the ones that create a real living environment. They create a lifestyle environment that everyone gets involved in and uses, and it creates a sense of community. And the buildings that don't do well are the ones that are void of community, the ones that feel like they're glorified hotel rooms or they become rented buildings. And if you look, one of the softwares I developed over the years was the neighborhood economic health score. It was the immunity against negative economic change of a neighborhood or a building. And it was always determined by the ratios of renters to owners. And when you're appealing to people who live in it mostly all year round or a very large amount all year round, it makes it for a far more economically stable environment. because you don't sell your primary residence. Investment products you'll sell quickly. So the more people use this for a long-term basis, the better obviously it's going to do. I think that we could talk on for hours on this. I think that if you want more details, you give me a call. Obviously, I work in association with a sales team here, but I will give you obviously those wide optics. Watch my other videos where I talk about the other buildings in Miami. Milty, thank you for doing this, really appreciate that. And get ready next time for another video and stay tuned. Thank you.